So now we're returning to the Marita Conlon McKenna book, Fields of Home. And we're on to chapter 18. It's called Blackberry Picking. So remember, lots of blackberries grow in the hedges and bushes around Ireland, and these would have been a good source of food for people in the past. So let's have a read. A day out in the fresh air blackberry picking would do you the world of good, Eily, Nano had suggested. 'Twould help you forget your troubles. The air was still and warm as Eily, Nano and Mary Bridget set out across the fields to go blackberry picking. Ahead of them, a tangled, winding hedgerow of lush brambles meandered, that means curved around like a river, for what seemed like miles, before the ground finally rose gently upwards towards the slopes of the giant's bed. They each carried a pail. A pail is a bucket. Mary Bridget's was the smallest, and how she longed to fill it. Each curving branch was laden down with the weight of huge clusters of shiny purple-black fruit. "I've never seen the like of it," murmured Nano. "Be careful of those thorns, Mary Bridget," advised Eily, "and make sure to check that there are no maggots in the berries." Maggots are like a worm. Mary Bridget nodded. She was just itching to get picking. She stuffed the first few blackberries into her mouth, relishing the strong, sweet taste. Relishing means enjoying. Then good sense prevailed, and she began to follow the example of her mother and Nano and dropped them into her pail. She watched the way her mother's fingers flew along the branches. Nano picked slowly and steadily. At one stage, her wide black skirt got caught up in some thorns, and Mary Bridget had to rescue her. "What would I do without you, child?" chuckled Nano. "I'm rightly stuck." It was hot, and after a while Mary Bridget wished that she had brought a sunbonnet, as she could feel herself getting too sticky and warm. Luckily, Eily had a can of water, and the three of them sat in the shade and drank from it. Mary Bridget knew that she must look a sight with her hands and arms and chin all stained with the bright purple juice. Then Nano took a bit of a rest as the others worked on. "Mammy, there's lashings of them, look!" Mary Bridget pointed out as she moved along, pushing against the trailing brambles. She picked low down as her mother stretched and picked above her until both buckets were almost full. "There'll be plenty of eating in this lot," smiled Eily. "Jams and fillings for pies and tarts, and best of all, fresh with a jug of cream. You and Daddy and Jody will be sick of blackberries in a few weeks' time." I'd never be sick of blackberries, Mammy," declared Mary Bridget. "Never. But isn't it a pity you couldn't sell some of them?" "What's that, child?" inquired Nano, rousing herself from the old tree stump that she had been sitting on. "Well, it's only I was sort of thinking that you and Mammy make the best jams and pies and tarts, better than anyone else, and I'm sure people might buy them." Mary Bridget trailed off, feeling silly. They were both staring at her. "I'm sure people would buy them," she continued, blushing. "And I heard you and Daddy saying we need to get some money, and I just thought that—" "Aren't you the wise girline?" interrupted Nano. Eily swooped down and caught Mary Bridget under the armpits and swung her round and round. "Mary Bridget Powers, you are the cleverest bit of a thing I've ever come across." Mary Bridget could feel the whole world and the grass tilt beneath her when her mother stopped spinning her. Why, she was just pure dizzy with excitement. "It will be like the old days, back in the shop in Market Lane," said Nano wistfully. "Do you remember, Eily?" Nano's and Eily's eyes were shining, and Mary Bridget bounced up and down with pride beside them. "We'll need some extra sugar and flour, Nano. And we've Maisie's eggs," said Eily, all excited. "And Mary Bridget can go up to old Drummond's place. He always used to let the children pick some apples when he was alive. Folk always like a nice blackberry and apple pie. Jams and chutneys and pies." Nana was busy planning too. "Eily, you could go door to door selling, but to my mind the market is the best place for home produce." "What do you think John will say to all this?" asked Eily. "He'll say what a good wife you are, pet, and what a smart daughter he's got. That's what he'll say." At long last, despite all the chat and excitement, all three pails were full. And we can come back again and again, and there'll still be plenty more, said Eily happily. Mary Bridget could just about manage to lift her pail, and she had to walk carefully so as not to spill any of the precious berries. Her mother strode ahead of her, humming softly under her breath. It seemed such a long time since she'd heard her mother laugh or sing. The sound did her heart good. So now you'll come to understand that they've managed to come up with an idea as to how to get some extra money by selling things made from blackberries, like pies and chutneys and jams and that type of thing. They need the extra money because the landlord has hiked up the rent. The reasoning behind that being that they won't be able to pay it, and the landlord's agent wants to get the land for himself. So they're hoping to be able to actually pay the rent, and this is part of the way that they might be able to pay the extra rent. Okay, thanks for listening, guys.